The boy was raised by his 6 overlord grandparents since he was a child. Sword Grandpa is the strongest swordsmanship master today. Heavenly Mystery Grandpa can comprehend all things in the world. Crimson Grandma is stunningly beautiful, and is the princess of the Kitsune clan. However, they are just a few very powerful individuals. They were sealed in and inside Daluo Mountain for 500 years. And Chu Skylight, who they picked up and raised. He is not only their motivation for survival, but also the hope for breaking the seal in the end. But in his past life, he was a code monkey. After he arrived in this world, all he wanted to do was farm and grow crops. He thought that peaceful days would continue like this. But what he didn't expect was that Goldfinger would come unexpectedly. He held the idea of just wanting to grow vegetables. Chu Skylight knocked his head 3 times against the cabbage, indicating that his original intention has never changed. But he still could not resist the determination of the system to cultivate Mary Sue Dragon. He was forcibly entered into the system. Suddenly, a golden light shot straight into the sky. And this movement also disturbed several elders. When Chu Skylight opened his eyes. At this point, he had already arrived in an independent space. The system wants him to choose a martial soul for awakening here. But before Chu Skylight could firmly refuse, the system automatically selected the most suitable martial soul for him. Dazzling golden light entered his pupils one by one. I am the eye that sees through all things. Golden eyes. When he opened his eyes again, several old men had surrounded him tightly. Sword Ghost placed his hand on Chu Skylight's head with anticipation. To his surprise, what he sensed was the lowest tier spirit-grade martial soul. Several people immediately covered their faces, crying and lamenting the injustice of the heavens. At this moment, the system informed him. Golden Eyes is the lowest level martial soul. But it can evolve infinitely by devouring various materials. As expected, Chu Skylight still chooses to continue being lazy. He has no intention of becoming the protagonist Mary Sue Dragon at all. The system doesn't indulge him either. The scorched Chu Skylight got up and asked Sword Grandpa to take him to Daluo Mountain. Meanwhile, several uninvited guests also arrived at Daluo Mountain. The purpose of their trip. They are looking for the dragon blood fungi hidden in the snow-capped mountains, just to cure the women around them. But when they successfully found the blood fungi pond, little did they know that the Black Jiaolong at the Martial Lord stage was guarding this place. Just as the green-haired man was enjoying his harvest, the Black Jiaolong leaped out of the water. It didn't expect that there was food delivery service in ancient times. The other two also directly summoned their own martial souls upon seeing this. But after several exchanges, the leading elderly person soon realized the strength of this spiritual beast is actually above that of his own as a 1-star martial lord. Just saw Black Jiaolong's move, Long's tail sweep. Let the old man's head be buried in the stone wall, his life and death uncertain. Later, Black Jiaolong opened its blood-filled big mouth, ready to devour the remaining 2 people. Just at this critical moment, a figure with a Kirin arm appeared out of nowhere. He knocked Black Jiaolong unconscious with just one punch. The newcomer is Chu Skylight, who went out to hunt spiritual beasts. The green-haired man, looking fearful, asked who he was. But before Chu Skylight could answer, the Black Jiaolong behind him suddenly woke up. Chu Skylight, however, remained completely calm about this, because Sword Grandpa has already taken action. The next second, Black Jiaolong's head and body were completely relocated. And at this moment, the old man also pulled out the head inserted in the stone wall. The old man at the moment of seeing Sword Grandpa. The old man recognized his identity. He is one of the 6 old monsters in Endless Inn. The one-armed sword ghost who kills without blinking an eye. The sentence has not been completed. Sword Ghost slapped him in the face with one hand. This plunged the old man's head into the trunk once again. Then Sword Grandpa clenched his hand with one hand. He then controlled the remaining two people. At this moment, the woman spat out a mouthful of blood. Chu Skylight quickly stopped, thinking that his grandfather was about to kill again. However, Sword Grandpa insisted that her coughing up blood had nothing to do with him. It turns out that the woman has the 9 body, but she is unclear about her constitution. She activated her martial soul in such a cold place, like Dalyua Mountain. This led to the sudden outbreak of her frost poison. Then Sword Grandpa threw the woman to Chu Skylight. Green-haired man instantly exploded in anger at the sight. Sword Grandpa ignored them, and directly asked what their purpose was for coming to Dalyua Mountain. At this time, the man with green hair suddenly became tough and said, "I won't tell you even if you kill me." The result that greeted him was a big slap in the face. Then the man with green hair explained their purpose for being here in a straightforward manner. Sword Grandpa knew after listening that these three were not spies from the mountains. He then gave them a big slap to reunite the old and the young. After completing these tasks, he intended to leave with Chu Skylight. Chu Skylight asked in confusion what to do with this woman. Sword Grandpa spoke lightly. "Turn back and marry you." Chu Skylight, with determination written all over his face, of course will not accept. He is a high-quality young person from the 21st century. How could he engage in such despicable behavior of taking advantage of others' misfortune? Later, under the puzzled gaze of the system, Chu Skylight decided to undress the woman first. The woman, who was in a coma, groggily opened her eyes at this moment. As a result, she saw the scene in front of her. But the next second, she hadn't had a chance to break free from Chu Skylight's restraints. She spat out another mouthful of blood from her mouth. It turns out the woman is the 9 body. Because she displayed the martial soul in such a frigid place as Dalyua Mountain. This led to the outbreak of frost poison in her body. Now, only Chu Skylight, who possesses the 9 body, can save her. Of course, it's definitely not the way you are thinking. Chu Skylight was seen biting his own finger. He draws a blood symbol on the woman's chest. The woman gradually began to awaken immediately. But the next second, before the woman could even shout, "Lothario!" Chu Skylight took the initiative to put on the appearance of a shy young man. He said he took off her clothes only to save her. The woman not only did not appreciate it, but also bit his finger. The sudden accusation also left the woman a little confused. Little did they know, this move is called Chu Skylight. Walking the path of a woman leaves no way out for women, or rather, defeating magic with magic. Just then, a burst of urgent cheering came from the door. "We rely on you to carry our great-grandson." Chu Skylight covered his head and smiled bitterly. He scolded this group of old bastards who force good women into prostitution. Then he intended to let the woman leave like this. When he came to the window, he suddenly felt a strong pressure. At this moment, an old man at the foot of the mountain was shouting angrily. "The Jialan Snow family Snow Zhenchuan is visiting. My granddaughter Moran disturbed your peaceful cultivation. I apologize on her behalf. Please forgive her. Otherwise, I will just shut down this endless inn." The Jialan Snow family is one of the 4 major families within the imperial city. Inheritance for 100 years. Strong individuals emerge constantly. The head of the family, Snow Zhenchuan, is also a powerhouse at the pinnacle of the martial king realm. Moran looked anxious and urgently asked Chu Skylight to escape, saying that his nature is not bad. Otherwise, her grandfather will definitely not let him off the hook when he comes to kill later. Chu Skylight, however, remained confident and smiled indifferently. Because he knew that the old folks in the inn were also restless characters. At the foot of the mountain, the owner of the Snow family saw that there was no movement coming from the inn. He decided to launch a direct assault with the 2 elder accompanying him. As a result, halfway through the flight, one of the people fell first. In front of the other 2 people, a strange blue small ball appeared as well. 2 blue beams of light slashed across the sky. As expected, Elder's head plunged into the snow again. The person who took the shot turned out to be the old heavenly mystery. Just as he was about to deliver a fatal blow to the opponent, Moran suddenly jumped out and begged for mercy. At the same time, a yellow smoke rose inside the inn. Heavenly Mystery turned to look. A golden rope suddenly bound him. And the one who initiated this turned out to be Chu Skylight. It turned out to be just a few days ago. Chu Skylight was threatened by the dog system. If he does not accept the mission to rescue Snow Family's granddaughter, he will be subjected to a cruel and inhumane punishment of lightning strikes. That's how today's scene came to be. But in fact, the grandfathers didn't really intend to blame him. But they were just afraid that his strength would be insufficient after he came down the mountain and might be sought after for revenge by those people. For this reason, Chu Skylight had no choice. He confessed the matter of upgrading his own martial soul. But in the end, he still could not escape the fate of kneeling in front of the firewood room. In the following days, the old guys underwent training as invigorating as being injected with chicken blood. Chu Skylight. Their strength has been weakening year by year due to the seal. Unsealing is imminent. As a result, he has suffered greatly. Chu Skylight returned to the inn as usual, trembling. He saw several elderly men looking very serious. It turns out they want Chu Skylight to come down the mountain tonight. For this, they even prepared a teleport formation specially for him. Affected by the seal, the further away the old folks are from the inn, the weaker their strength becomes. After going down the mountain, they need Chu Skylight to find the 6th stone of unsealing. And from what they know, one of them is in the hands of the Jialan royal family. The teleport formation will also teleport him directly into Jialan City. At this moment, Venom Grandpa handed a ring to Chu Skylight. He said there is a present from all 6 of them inside. When necessary, this ring can help him turn danger into safety. With a confident smile, Chu Skylight made a farewell gesture. His figure also gradually disappeared in the teleport formation. At this moment, several elderly, who were over 100 years old, couldn't help but shed tears. As the figure completely dissipated, Sky Grandpa couldn't help but spit out blood. His strength had severely declined due to years of being sealed. Now, using teleport formation under pressure had completely caused him to fall out of the Martial Emperor stage. At this moment, Sword Grandpa lifted his head 45 degrees to look up at the sky. I don't know if little Skylight will like the teleportation location we chose for him. It's inside Jialan Imperial City. Chu Skylight is sweating profusely and dare not move at all. He is surrounded by prostitutes in heavy makeup and bright clothes. It turns out the old folks are the ones who understand his thoughts the best. At this time, the system made a suggestion. The host is asked to bring all women into the harem. As a high-quality young person of the 21st century, Chu Skylight swiftly fled the scene after loudly condemning gambling, drugs, and prostitution. He hid inside a house. He narrowly escaped unscathed, only to find himself in another dangerous situation. Just at that moment, Chu Skylight suddenly heard a familiar voice. He immediately used golden eyes and looked outside the house, only to see a familiar figure. The figure was none other than the old man who liked sticking his head into the wall. Then another person appeared. It made Chu Skylight widen his eyes even more. Chu Skylight was transported to the brothel. He saw Moran, who had been taken back by his grandfather to be his wife, and the old man who accompanied her. He couldn't help but exclaim that the world is really small. He quickly put on his mask. He couldn't let them see his handsome face. Later he learned from their mouths. Their purpose of this trip turned out to be to hide the seductive fox in the inn. The seductive fox clan has a history of 1,000 years in the celestial continent. Because they were constantly starting wars with humans at the border, 100 years ago, they were collectively besieged by various immortal sects. Now they have long been extinct. The Crimson Grandma of Chu Skylight is a member of the seductive fox clan. Due to getting drunk once before, she revealed her true form. The old guys finally told him about the arrival of Crimson Grandma. And just then, Chu Skylight's hiding place was also discovered by the old man. Later, in order to not reveal his identity, he had no choice but to activate the escape mode. But that old man is still a strong martial lord stage expert. The old man kicked Chu Skylight into the crowd with one kick. Chu Skylight fell on a young girl. After he sat up, he actually touched a furry tail. The people from the Jiaolan Snow family also exclaimed in surprise upon seeing the situation. The girl is indeed the seductive fox they have been desperately searching for. The old man then ordered Moran to chase after Chu Skylight. He himself then personally pursued the young girl. At the same time, the dog system unexpectedly triggered a task, requiring him to collect the blood of seductive fox. Muttering under his breath, Chu Skylight casually took out a few smoke bombs. Taking advantage of Moran's vision being affected, he turned around and quickly hid inside a house. Then he took out the shape-shifting Dan from the ring given by the old guys. With a rumble, Chu Skylight also felt a sharp pain in his chest. He, who thought he would become an elderly person, quickly took off his clothes. But when Moran kicked the door open and walked in, but she only saw a disheveled girl panting heavily. The two stared at each other in silence for a moment. Moran looked embarrassed, thinking that the girl was doing that kind of thing. She picked up the door that she had kicked and said, "Sorry for the disturbance," wanting to escape. How could Chu Skylight let her get away with it? He worked hard to complete the tasks assigned by the dog system. At this moment, he unexpectedly pounced directly into Moran's arms. He said he is also from the Sacred Moon Academy. He was framed by a friend, and that's how he ended up being sold to the brothel. He pleaded for his senior sister to rescue him. And Moran, seeing this scene, also had a burst of chivalrous spirit. She immediately stated that she would uphold justice for him. And at this moment, outside the house, the young woman from the seductive fox clan has also been captured by the old man. Moran explained the situation of the girl next to him to the old man. The old man then took him back together. Indian room. Moran suggested sending Chu Skylight back to the academy early tomorrow morning. But Chu Skylight is now acting pitiful again. He said he is afraid of men. Anyway, he has to do everything with his senior sister. Moran could only cover his head and smile bitterly. Okay then. I'll take you back tomorrow. Upon hearing this, Chu Skylight could only pretend to look grateful on the surface. In fact, he was already cursing in his heart. This is different from what he had in mind. Later, Moran unexpectedly began to take off his clothes directly. She said the inn no longer had any extra guest rooms available. I could only squeeze in with him at night. And then it evolved into the current situation. During sleep, Chu Skylight clasps his hands together. He only has a passage of Buddhist scripture left in his heart. Moran sees that he can't sleep and turns around wanting to have a conversation with him. But she is drugged by the aphrodisiac in Chu Skylight's hand. He then swiftly left this dangerous place. He turned around and arrived at the prison cell where Little Fox was being held. I quietly made my way to the place where they were holding Seductive Fox. I found only Little Green standing guard. This is too easy. I took out the hypnotic drug again. Little Green was easily subdued. What's the point of having him guard the door? I pushed the door disdainfully, only to find Seductive Fox trapped in the Yogwai ceiling formation. No wonder the defense at the door was so weak. This formation constantly inflicts pain on Yogwai beasts. Quite ruthless. Following the principle of less trouble is better, I took out a small bottle intending to take some blood and leave. She suddenly opened her eyes. She grabbed my hand tightly. She asked me to save her. I was at a loss for what to do. She continued to speak. Please. I can't go into Repentance Valley. Please save me out. I'll do anything you want. Damn. I quickly covered her mouth. Keep your voice down, sister. Ding. The dog system is back. It says it has received a request from a female character. Please complete the task to rescue Seductive Fox and bring her into the harem. Damn it! You're back again? The system says not having a harem is nothing, especially since she is flat-chested. It perfectly fits your aesthetic. That's true. Oh no, wait. Rescuing her is very troublesome. Suddenly the system gave me a familiar electric shock. Then I wish you a pleasant electric shock. Seductive Fox looked at me in shock as I twitched. I kept my tears. I'll save you. Helping others brings joy. I am happy. Dog system. Eventually, I will train you into a planting guide. I am not sure about Jyoshi's thoughts. I am contemplating that if I try to save her, that old man with his dog will definitely notice me. He is a martial lord, after all. This is really difficult for me. I can only rely on it. As soon as I reach out my hand, a huge flame giant appears from my ring. This is Smoke Ghost Grandpa pouring his soul power into it. He has created a battle puppet based on Xing Tian, the Undying Warrior, but my current level is too low to control it properly. I can only use high-quality soul crystals for amplification. This is a high-quality soul crystal. A crystal mine can only have up to 5 pieces. My heart is bleeding. With the integration of the soul crystal, the battle puppet is getting closer to the martial lord stage infinitely. I command it to destroy the Yaogwai ceiling formation. Its large hand directly pierces through the wall, forcefully destroying the Yaogwai ceiling formation. The soul power chain on Jyoshi's body slowly dissipates. I am very happy. This thing is really powerful. I was just about to let it take the two of us away. A rumbling sound came from outside. Old Snow saw that the Yaogwai ceiling formation had been broken. He had already rushed over. He said with a gloomy expression, "Who are you? Why did you break my Yaogwai ceiling formation? It's coming too fast. No way." I let Jyoshi hold the battle puppet. I have to send her out first. And then the battle puppet breaks through the roof at an extremely fast speed, flying towards the outside. But we are still being sealed by Old Snow's soul power. I manipulate the battle puppet to dodge this attack. Then the battle puppet grapples with him. But this old creeper. He kept aiming to chop Jyoshi. There is no way to fight back when battle puppet is protecting Jyoshi. Cannot delay. I quickly control battle puppet to escape. But old creeper raises a hand. Several soul power chains bind battle puppet. Then a huge soul power light chain descends from the sky. Is this a King Great martial art? Old creeper didn't hesitate at all. He activated soul chain and smashed it towards battle puppet. Battle puppet and Jyoshi were severely hit. The ground was smashed and cracked open. Battle puppet and Jyoshi were directly hit by the King Great martial art. It looks like they have been seriously injured. I hurried over. Suddenly, many people ran over. They were all Sacred Moon disciples who came out upon hearing the sound. I stood nervously among them, afraid of being discovered for something amiss. Old Snow said, "I didn't expect the Seductive Fox clan to be in such a miserable state, yet there are still people willing to save them. Unfortunately, we cannot send it to Repentance Valley. I just used too much force. This fox probably won't live long. And this big guy is quite strange. I originally thought it was a spirit guardian, but then discovered it's actually a sophisticated and bizarre puppet, resembling the work of the genius puppet master from 100 years ago." While Old Snow was talking to his disciples, a giant fist unexpectedly came at him. Old Snow, caught completely off guard, was directly sent flying. He crashed through several walls directly. He landed far away. Those students were all shocked. Everyone shivered and looked at Puppet, who ignored the students. It flew towards Old Creeper. I shouted anxiously, "It's going to attack Old Snow again! Senior brothers, please go help Old Snow!" Then they quickly left. I couldn't hold on any longer at this point. I knelt down suddenly. The system quickly asked if I was okay. I replied that I just upgraded and controlled the battle puppet, feeling a bit dizzy. The system expressed concern, saying that soul power consumption was already significant, and forcibly upgrading would surely be too much for the body to handle. I expressed that it was still very worthwhile. The power of the martial master stage battle puppet has increased significantly, enough to hold them off for a while. Let's save Little Fox first. She is too severely injured. I quickly asked the system. What should I do? I don't have the Dan pill to heal Yogwai Beast. She's running out of breath. The system suggests that I enter into a symbiotic blood contract with her. Yogwai Beasts with this contract will have very tenacious vitality. This kind of injury should be able to heal. I hastily bit my finger. Then let's give it a try. I can't let her die here no matter what. I also want to ask her about Crimson Grandma and Seductive Fox. Blood was slowly absorbed at her neck. Then, there was a mysterious beam of light connecting between her and me. Slowly. Surprisingly, her injuries were healed by more than half. Have you ever seen a male protagonist running naked in another world? Little Fox, because of the contract I made with her. Most of her injuries have recovered. After dealing with all of this, I collapsed on the ground. The blood contract consumed too much. I didn't have the strength to help her escape. Then I used the last of my soul power to control the battle puppet to fly back. I commanded it to safely take Little Fox away. After it flew away, I just lay on the ground. I'm so tired after this day. I thought it was safe now. But suddenly, a person walked over. I finally saw the newcomer vaguely. It was Snow Morin, and then I fell asleep. When I opened my eyes again, it was already the next day. I quickly sat up. Is this the bed in the inn? At this moment, Snow Morin walked in. Are you awake? Let's eat. I brought you here after seeing you collapse in the yard last night. She told me that Seductive Fox was eventually taken away. Old Snow was also injured by Puppet. Now they are discussing the matter of returning to Sacred Moon. She should also hurry back. The annual enrollment conference is in a few days. I see. Enrollment conference? That is equivalent to the college entrance examination in the immortal cultivation world. At that time, major academies will gather together to recruit outstanding candidates at the conference. The Sacred Moon Academy has a close relationship with the Jia Lan royal family. Trying to get close to the royal family through the conference and infiltrating the Sacred Moon is a good way. I originally planned to do this. Just that. Last night before I passed out, I clearly saw her. She should know that I saved Seductive Fox. But what is she trying to say now? She didn't expose me either. Did she not see it, or is she pretending to be with me? Just let it be. Just play along for a while. She stared at me the whole time while I was eating. What's going on? Suddenly I feel that something is not right. My chest started to ache severely. Did she poison me? No. The effect of shape-shifting Dan wore off. I'm turning back. She asked me what's wrong. I quickly said I just suddenly had a fever. Then I hurriedly pushed her out. Sister, I have been like this since I was a child. I can suddenly have a fever of 100 degrees. I will burn you. Please leave quickly. Then I closed the door. My body feels swollen. The Adam's apple is also starting to protrude slowly. I need to leave quickly. I plan to escape through the window. Morin outside the door was anxiously knocking on the door. Little Chu, are you really okay? Then she heard shouting from inside the house. She hurriedly pushed open the door. She saw my clothes being stretched to the limit. With a bang, she closed the door. She rubbed her eyes fiercely. Then she pushed open the door again, just to see my graceful figure flipping through the window. She slammed the door shut once again. Then she began to doubt life, only to see a snowy white man running wildly on the roof. I'm still very shy when Morin sees me. She didn't listen even though I told her not to come in. Forget it. I'll go find Little Fox first. I found some clothes in the ring to put on. According to the induction of the blood contract, she is in the mountain forest to the west. Jiyoshi on the other side suddenly woke up, covered in cold sweat. It's like she had a nightmare. She calmed down a bit and began to recall what happened last night. Although that sister doesn't seem very clever, she is indeed a good person. I must repay her kindness in the future. You wake up. Suddenly someone speaks. She looks up. I see only a friendly face asking her how she feels. Then she directly punches me. She punched me and sent me flying into the wall. Fuck. What are you doing? Jiyoshi said fiercely. I remember you. You're the man who exposed me. I didn't care about the nosebleed gushing out. What do you mean by exposing you? But remember, I'm the one who saved you. Nonsense. Shameless scoundrel. It was clearly that kind and friendly silly older sister who saved me. She is me. I'm in disguise. I don't believe a ghost. Stay away from me. Fine, you don't believe me, huh? I'll show her with my shape-shifting Dan again. Keep your eyes wide open. I'll pour the pill directly into my mouth. Then my body shuddered. Next, my hair began to grow longer. Adam's apple disappeared. Have you seen it? This is called a master of cross-dressing. If you still don't believe, you can use a blood contract to verify it again. Jiyoshi, who saw this, was already full of surprise. Are you a man? She originally fantasized about all the beauty of her silly sister. At this moment, everything was shattered. Jiyoshi, who was devastated, cried out, You pervert! Give me back my kind big sister! Disgusting stinky man! I seem to understand something from being scolded. Wait a moment. You wouldn't happen to like women, would you? Jiyoshi said solemnly. I like women. What's it to you? This statement makes my nose bleed again. I can't take it anymore. Do you have any manners? I am your life-saving benefactor. Or your master. You didn't even say thank you and you hit and scold me. White-eyed wolf. It serves you right that they want to take you to Repentance Valley. I really am so kind to save you. After all my reprimand, Jiyoshi begins to feel wronged. Then she burst into tears with a sniffle. Now I was at a loss as to what to do. The system spoke up. Host. She's just a girl. Your words are too harsh. You should say something nice to comfort her. I can't do it. Do you all still remember this move? I immediately started to cry with tears in my eyes. I said very sorrowfully, Why are you crying? It's as if I bullied you. You cry after a few words from me. If you scold me, I would feel wronged. I worked so hard to save you. Just because you like women, you have to be treated like that. After all my efforts. Jiyoshi was also stunned. Then I burst into tears. She quickly apologized to me. She asked me not to cry. That's right. It wasn't my fault in the first place. Why should I have to coax her? Jiyoshi said anxiously. I was too rude. Please don't cry, okay? I transformed in an instant. Okay. Jiyoshi thoroughly realized that she had been played. This man. He could actually use showing weakness and tears better than me. I smiled and said, Let's talk about serious matters. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Chu Skylight, and I aim to enter the Sacred Moon Academy through the enrollment conference. I hope you can be with me. You can assist me through the blood contract. I need your power. During this period, I will protect your identity and safety. Jiyoshi snorted coldly. Protect me? I'm Seductive Fox, and I have you by my side. Aren't you afraid I might turn against you? I asked her back. Would you do that? Every race has good people and scoundrels. I won't blame all the faults of Seductive Fox on you alone. We will have enough time to understand each other. What kind of person are you? I will use my eyes to see, not my ears to hear. My words deeply touched Jiyoshi, who has always been hostile towards humans. I haven't finished yet. if you don't want to go with me, it's okay. She expressed willingness to go with me. She said she had nowhere else to go anyway. I just have one request. I curiously asked her what it was. She said seriously with starry eyes, "Can you always wear women's clothing?" Me? You must be dreaming. In the end, I still cross-dressed. I sat angrily on the ground waiting for her to change clothes. This little rascal really pushed my buttons. He really thought I had a cross-dressing fetish. The system says, "Host, you're amazing. Your cross-dressing looks great. Use cross-dressing to conquer her." I immediately raised the internationally recognized gesture. Get lost. Watching the excitement without considering the consequences. You don't seem like a serious robot at all. Who would have thought, the system replied. Who told you I am a robot? I am a human. He then told me about his past. It turns out that before becoming a system, he was a human from another world. Just that for some reason, the world collapsed. Then Mastermind found him and made a deal with him. As long as he became a system and cultivated a Mary Sue dragon that surpassed all Mary Sue dragons, Mastermind would reconstruct his world and let him return. So he became a system. His previous memories were sealed, but he still remembered that there was someone very important waiting for him to return to her side. So he studied desperately. He also received the honor of the excellent progressive system. Then, he was entrusted with an important task by Mastermind and came to this world. Unfortunately, he encountered me. Me? Are you looking down on me? I immediately felt unhappy. You keep assigning me difficult tasks. Fighting also can't help. Are you embarrassed to look down on me? He hurriedly held me down and explained, saying that although he is indeed very weak now, it's really not his fault. He said this is just according to common sense. The system arrived in a new world. It will connect to the heavenly Tao as soon as possible, which is the law of the world. The system can enhance your protagonist's aura by intervening in the heavenly Tao and providing various system props. However, after being here for so long, he has not been able to sense the heavenly Tao. A world without law should be a chaotic place. However, this world operates in an orderly manner, which is very strange. Alright then. I just heard of this. You can go ask that Mastermind about it. He said he had already reported it. The Mastermind should have a response soon. He also told me not to worry. As long as we work hard to complete the task, everything will be fine. Oh! I didn't expect the world to collapse. We have to be pulled out and exploited. This system is not easy either. I said I'll try to cooperate with you in the future and let you go home early. He thanked me very happily. I also didn't notice a figure eavesdropping behind a tree. After I left, she also quickly left. My system turned out to be a human being. Just as he was telling me about his past, there was a person eavesdropping behind the tree. I returned to this side of the inn. Little Green greeted Moran with a smile. You're back, she said, and then asked Moran where Little Chu, Junior's sister, had gone. Moran thought of a prepared excuse and said, Little Chu wanted to go home for a visit, so I escorted her out of town. Little Green, feeling a bit worried, asked, Is she safe on her own? Moran replied, It's okay. I have already given her a protective amulet. Little Green said, trying to please, You are so kind to ordinary junior sisters, Moran. You are really gentle. Snow Moran, on the other hand, seems a little lonely. It's just returning a favor. Jialan Imperial City a few days later. I just walked through the city gate with Yoshi. I saw someone performing acrobatics. I am so excited to see the sugar-coated Haws. Look over there. Jialan Imperial City a few days later. I just walked through the city gate with Yoshi. I saw someone performing acrobatics. I am so excited to see the sugar-coated Haws. Look over there. Acrobatics. Yoshi, on the other hand, looks disdainful. Is this your first time in the city? Acting all surprised and excited. Yes, this is my first time in the city. Why are you covering up so tightly? She said she's just used to it. She feels unsafe when she shows her face in such situations. And many cultivators will come to the enrollment meeting. I am afraid. I took off her hood in one go. Scared her with a scream. I said that you concealed your breath and easily changed your form. You're afraid of nothing. She covered her head and screamed loudly. I said, "What are you yelling for? Do you have the courage to hit me back now?" And then I said to her, "Even if someone recognizes you as seductive fox, you are still my blood contract spiritual beast. Even if the sky falls, I will support you. No one can touch you. In the future, walk with your head high and chest out in the sunlight. Understand?" Her eyes were a little moist after hearing these words. She hadn't been cared for like this by anyone for many years. However, she still shyly turned her head. With a tough tone, she said, "I don't need a man to educate me. I'm used to it." I grabbed her hand and ran towards the registration desk. In no time, we arrived at the registration desk. I pulled Joshi over. "Hello. We would like to register." Then the person handed us a form. Then he took out the application requirements. I took a look. I just met the requirements. After I filled out the form, another person led us to a teleport formation. He told us that this leads to the waiting hall for the exam. Let's go there and wait. I reached out and tested it first. After confirming it was safe, I walked in. What came into view was a huge space, bustling with cultivators. And above, the huge characters for Examination Hall can be seen. I not only saved the seductive fox Joshi, who was spurned by 10,000 people, I also brought her to participate in the assessment of the Sacred Moon Academy. There are really a lot of people in this waiting area for the assessment. However, what are those mysterious floating blocks above? The system explains to me. Those are mythic realm spaces. It's like your test questions. You will randomly be selected to enter one of the mythic realms. Just as the system finished speaking, a voice came from behind. A person in a Taoist robe entered this space. "All candidates. I am your guide. The number of applicants for the Infinite Academy looming today is full. Be prepared. The exam will begin shortly. Next, I will announce the basic exam rules. In the Mythic Realm assessment, food and Dan pill are not allowed, but everything else is unrestricted. Please voluntarily hand over prohibited items. They will be returned to you after the exam." I secretly rejoiced that luckily I finished eating the candied haws. Next to me, a young man looked reluctant and handed in the large steamed bun his mother made. Lu Ming continued, saying that in the Mythic Realm, the longer you survive, the higher your score. Passing is achieved after lasting more than 7 days. There are no restrictions on the behavior of examinees. Upon hearing that there are no restrictions, Joshi asked, "What if I commit murder?" I quickly rebuked her audacious idea. Lu Ming then told us that the soul spirit suspended around us each decides the mythic realm you will go to after choosing and encountering a life-threatening situation. The soul spirit can save your life and bring you out of the examination room. I randomly grabbed one and then heard someone nearby say something. It is said that the difficulty is very high this year. Someone said to a red-haired man, "Brother Stone is outstanding among us. If we are assigned to the same mythic realm, I hope Brother Stone will take care of us more." The man responded modestly. I was curious about who this was. Joshi just mentioned it. The person turned out to be Stone Zhuojialan, one of the 4 major families. He is the second son of the Stone family. I curiously asked how you know him. Joshi said that this person is really famous. You actually don't know? When he awakens, his soul power can condense into a real sword called the Lightning Sword. When I heard this, I was shocked. Soul power condensed into a physical form. Isn't that something only martial grandmasters can do? Joshi said that geniuses cannot be judged by common sense. Now, he is a seated player for this year's 4 Stars Martial Master. I am impressed. He is really amazing. Host. You are the strongest. You cannot lose to him. Damn it. You scared me to death. I haven't recovered yet, and the system has started to release a damn task. Please take the lead in completing the task. Break the historical record of surviving in Mythic Realm. You are an unprecedented Mary Sue dragon. I fucking knew it. I asked how long the historical record was. The system told me 17 days. I was immediately unhappy. 17 days. I might as well settle down in there. The system told me time passes quickly in Mythic Realm. 15 days are equivalent to half an hour outside. It won't delay anything. Just then, Jiyoshi said Mythic Realm is about to open. If we don't enter together, what if they find out my identity? I thought so too. Should we both get caught together? So the two of us, I grabbed a tuft of her hair, and she grabbed onto my belt in a weird position, getting caught together. I took Jiyoshi to participate in the Sacred Moon Academy assessment. Unexpectedly, something happened. I held onto her fur tightly. She held onto my belt tightly, waiting for the Mythic Realm to open. Lu Ming said very seriously, "All candidates." 100 years ago, during the end of the era of decline, evil demons invaded, causing great suffering to all living beings. The immortal cultivation world was on the brink of destruction. However, our ancestors persevered, repairing the spiritual veins and driving away the evil demons, leading to the prosperity we see today. These mythic realms still retain the appearance of the disastrous period. I hope everyone will inherit the will of our ancestors, tempering their body and mind inside them, breaking through themselves. Then, join your hands together, shout out loudly. Examination room. Open! Then the entire space began to shake. The soul spirit and hand started to transform. The soul spirit leads us into various different mythic realms. Not long after, Jiyoshi opened her eyes. She was still tightly gripping onto my belt, but I was already gone. She paused for a moment, feeling a sudden headache. It turned out that a chunk of her hair was pulled out by me. She couldn't help but curse. My hair! That jerk pulled so hard, yet it still came apart. She looked up and found many people there. She heard a woman saying, "This should be Calmwater Domain in Shadowmire." They also noticed that the awakened woman Jiyoshi was walking towards them and kindly said, "Little sister, you're awake. You seem a bit dizzy from the teleportation. Are you okay?" But Jiyoshi's attention was not on the woman at all. She looked in alarm at the red-haired man. "Stone! Stone Jwawu!" she screamed in her heart. "Help! Why did I bump into him? My identity will be exposed. Chu Skylight! Where are you?" Meanwhile, on my end, I am standing in an empty area with nobody around. The wind is blowing, and my butt feels cold. In my hand remains a wisp of Jiyoshi's hair. I couldn't help but have a headache. What the hell is this? At this moment, suddenly there was an attack from behind by Ba Jie. Pay attention. This man is farming in the immortal cultivation world, and no one can stop him. Jiyoshi and I were eventually separated by the teleportation. I even lost my belt because of this. I bent over to pull up my pants. This action actually helped me avoid Ba Jie's sneak attack from behind. Then I used a donkey kick to kick it in the neck. Ba Jie was knocked down by my kick. I looked at its head buried deep in the ground in silence. What a thing. So weak yet still attempting a sneak attack. The system told me that it is a swamp imp, and informed me that this mythic realm is called Shadowmire. From the terrain, it seems like Mirefog Plain, where all the mist is poisonous. But I am completely immune. I mentioned that Little Fox is also in this mythic realm, and I have already sensed her. The system was saying that we should first find some food to ensure survival time. Just then, I discovered something. The system asked me what was wrong. I carefully observed the land. This land is really fertile. The system sensed that something was wrong. I directly pulled out my hoe from the ring. I also exclaimed, "I've never seen such fertile soil before. I feel sorry for the land if I don't cultivate it. I can't control myself anymore." The system quickly advised me, "You are a genius. Do you farm in Mythic Realm? Cool down. Plant now. By the time things grow, you'll starve to death. I completely ignored his obstruction, because now I only have the land in my eyes. I want to farm. I said it's okay. I have developed quick-growing seeds and land-reclaiming fertilizers. With the help of soul power for ripening, it will bear fruit in 3 days. I can grow crops. Not to mention 17 days, even a year is not a problem. I wield my hoe, and I'm ready to get to work. The system is pulling my hair and shouting loudly, saying, "No! You're here to show off, not to farm. Stop it now!" I have found the true essence of life in Mythic Realm. That is farming, then. Meanwhile, Joshi is looking at the mushrooms in his hand with a lifeless expression. Because Stone Zhuowu is standing beside him, she is being very cautious, afraid of revealing her identity. The blue-haired woman walked over at this moment. "How did your digging go?" Stone Zhuowu picked up the mushroom and said, "Only this basket." Joshi thought to himself, "This Stone Zhuowu is nothing like what I imagined. I thought he would be an arrogant guy, but turns out he speaks very little and listens to his sister, Water Shaoling, a lot." Another person walked over and asked, "How much did you all dig up?" After seeing just one basket, he turned around and said, "This is not enough. Follow me, everyone. I am a re-examinee and know where the food is." Then, the group followed the re-examinee to the location he mentioned. Joshi thought to himself, "Where are we going?" Suddenly, her foot slipped. She stepped on something. She lifted her foot and took a look. This is... shit! She shouted that she stepped on poop. Then she vigorously rubbed it against the tree. Water Shaoling also noticed. There is a lot of feces on the ground. Then she shouted to the retaker, "Where are you now?" The person smirked ominously. Trading a teleport talisman for a Stone Zhuowu elimination is still a good deal. Then he used the teleport talisman to leave the place. The group then discovered that the trees around them were all full of monsters they were already surrounded. Water Shaoling looked displeased. This is the Swamp Imp's nest. They actually dared to be sly towards the Stone family. After the exam, I will definitely investigate who gave him the courage. Then she said to Stone Zhuowu, "Zhuowu, you are too famous. You have attracted attention." Stone Zhuowu coldly snorted. A renowned hero will always be envied by the small-minded. I have long been prepared for this kind of framing. Let my lightning sword before finishing this sentence. He was met with a kick in the face from the Swamp Imp. Then he was pinned to the ground and beaten up, with his mouth still shouting, "You Swamp Imp are not playing fair." Let me finish my lines. Joshi looked on in astonishment. Is this the lighting sword?" Water Shaoling sees the situation. A blue light ball appears in the center of both hands. Then it transforms into a huge barrier. The Swamp Imp is isolated outside. The Swamp Imp, whose spiritual intelligence was not high to begin with, cannot make any progress. Then she turned around and said to Stone Zhuowu lying on the ground, "Zhuowu told you to read fewer novels usually. When fighting, if you can use your hands, don't waste words. I'm having a great time farming in Mythic Realm. I sow the seeds, bury them in the soil, water them, and finally, I just have to wait for my little seeds to grow strong." The system looks on speechlessly. The water was so hard to come by, and you just poured it like that. Don't worry. This is the fast-growing watermelon I cultivated. With it, there is no need to worry about water shortage. Then I happily named each seed. This is the life I long for. The system on the side commented sarcastically, "So disgusting. Needing to name each vegetable seed." I took out an axe from the ring and said to him, "Do you understand this? This is romance. You, someone who is detached from the world and trapped in the cycle of inner turmoil, definitely won't understand." Then I started chopping trees. The system asked me, "Why are you chopping trees?" Of course, to build a house. To make fences. The system was bewildered. "Building a house?" I said. Of course. After building a good house, I can also go hunting. Life is so pleasant. Upon hearing this, the system went crazy. I can't stand it. Mastermind, I want to go home. While I was working hard, a crow flew over my head. The crow circled for a while, before spreading its wings and flying away. The crow landed in Blackmire City constructed by the swamp imps, transforming into a human form upon landing. Kneeling down, it spoke to the person sitting at the center, saying, "My lord, I have returned." The person asked, "How is Swamp Raven?" Swamp Raven replied, "According to our investigation, there are a total of 57 humans in Mirefog Plain. Most of them are isolated and vulnerable. Afflicted by swamp poison, they probably won't last much longer. But one person seems unaffected by the swamp poison. He is currently at the border of Mythic Realm, farming." Upon hearing this, the king remained speechless for a moment. Then, holding his aching head, he said, "In previous years, the humans coming in to dig for treasures, beg, or seek companionship were already quite unusual. I didn't expect that this year, another talented individual would appear to farm here." Then he ordered his subordinates, "Forget it, they are all just small fries. Lead a team of elite swamp imps to clear out the irrelevant humans. After all, our target is only that stone Zhuowu, the one that the swamp imps are focusing on." A few people are brainstorming strategies inside the protective barrier. The low-level swamp imp suddenly shouted out the name of Stone Zhuowu. Water Shaoling was surprised. How could the swamp imps know Zhuowu's name? Then she said to the group, "Everyone, my soul power domain is not stable and can only be temporarily opened." Jiyoshi, upon hearing this, thought, "Isn't the soul power domain a skill that only Grand Martial Masters can use? This sister is already a Grand Martial Master? She's really a genius." Water Shaoling didn't notice Jiyoshi's shock. She continued, "These swamp imps are not very high level. Let's just charge out. I'm a medic, so don't worry about getting hurt." Then she asked Stone Zhuowu to lead the way. He smiled as if he had been waiting for this moment for a long time.